Are less than 3 weeks away. As a matter of fact, we have 18 days to go. And within these last few days, or actually yesterday, matter of fact, Vice President Kamala Harris, the golden child of the Democrat Party, many of her lies has been exposed, have come to the forefront of this campaign. As you all know, she did an interview, it was a horrible interview on her behalf with Fox News. The interview that she had with Fox News, it was, I mean, at best, it was horrible. Kamala Harris, she has not done any hard hitting interviews since she's been on the campaign trail. Ever since she's been on the stump, her team has been protecting her from journalists that will dare to ask her real questions. What happens when you're protected in that way? I'm going to tell you what happened. When you're protected that way, you're not prepared for a real interview. You're not prepared to answer something on the fly. You're not prepared to speak truthfully from your heart. On the other end, we all have been seeing Donald Trump. We've seen what he's been doing in his interviews. He's been very hard hitting. Any question that he's been asked, he's been able to answer those questions effectively. He has sat down with journalists that were less than friendly towards him. He has sat down with many journalists that are anti-Trump journalists. No, they definitely are not Trump supporters. I'm sure you all recall when he sat down with the journalists at the National Association of Black Journalists. They tried to pick him apart. He has sat down with ABC, with CBS. All these journalists have tried to pick Trump apart. He stood up. That's one thing that they didn't like, that he was able to stand his grounds. He was able to stand up even under pressure. With Vice President Harris, when she had this one real interview, she had one real interview and one partial real interview, and that was with 60 Minutes. I say partially real because that interview was chopped up, it was edited, it was reformatted to fit the Democrats' agenda. Plus, she was not really pushed as much as she was pushed with this Fox News interview. The reason why it's important for a candidate when they're running for the president of the United States, the number one reason why is, the first reason why it's important for them to do interviews, especially with journalists that are tough, journalists that will present them with real questions, journalists that are not going to just hit them with softball questions, is because the American people have a right to answers. And a lot of times we know with political candidates, they tend to dance around the question. They do their best at not answering the question. They don't want to be pinned down to something that they will have to answer to later on. So they do their best to try not to answer whatever that question is at hand. Kamala Harris, she has been genius at that. Matter of fact, with her campaign, one of the things that many people have noticed is she, until recently, was only willing to sit down with journalists that was very friendly toward her, very, very, very left-leaning liberal journalists. And that has really hurt her campaign. It hurt her tremendously because what happens was she was used to journalists kind of playing her game, playing in her ballpark. When she went outside of her comfort zone, she was a disaster. She was a sure disaster when she went outside of her comfort zone. She was not able to answer questions that typical voters would like to know, especially decided voters would like to know. She was not able to answer questions that maybe those that are in the conservative party that would possibly give her a chance. She was not able to answer those questions. Matter of fact, The question that she did answer, it actually deterred some of her own supporters, some that were even Democrat. It deterred them as well, because her answers were so poorly. She turned off a huge part of the undecided voters, but she also definitely turned off the conservatives. But she really turned off some of her own base, and that's horrible. When you turn off people in your own base, people that are diehard Democrats walking away. Let's talk before we even finish about the Fox News interview. She had an interview with Charlemagne the God. That interview was very staged, and it was softball questions. But when you saw the comments, when you read through the comments on that interview on the Breakfast Club, they was at her throat. These are people that tune in, mostly Democrat identifying individuals, and they were truly at Kamala Harris's throat. When you looked at the comments, when you look at the likes compared to the dislikes, it was very unproportionate. On that video, you had four more. At the time I watched it, you had about two-thirds dislikes and one-third likes. That's very telling. That means that she's not appeasing to her own base. She went on the Breakfast Club or on an interview with Charlemagne the God to try to appease to the black male voters. Epic fail. Epic fail. It was horrible. It was horrible at best. She went on there. She did nothing but lie and pander. Kamala Harris was exposed in that interview. She was exposed in the Fox News interview. I'm going to tell you how she was exposed in the interview with Charlemagne the God. In that interview, she was supposed, her attempt was to talk to black men. So she come up within record time. I don't think it took them 60 minutes to come up with this false agenda for black men after former President Barack Obama, on her behalf, tried to shame black men. They tried to pull it back in. They tried their best to regain the respect of black men, but it was damaged. The damage was done. So, long story short, under that no, the trying to rekindle the fire, I would say, her and her team went to the drawing board, and they just took a bunch of their plans that they already had and stamped the word black men on it. So they went on a campaign spree to say, this is our black men agenda. It was nothing more than her agenda that she had for all Americans, or for minorities or different groups. She said that she's going to give out 1 million loans to African Americans. That sounds really good. 1 million loans, $20,000, unforgivable. But when you read the fine print, it said to African Americans and others. So all of the rhetoric that she talked about, all of the policies that she talked about that was designated for black men, all the fine print said "and other," and that's very important because her plan was never meant for black men. This is a plan that she had. It's the same plan that she's been presenting for small businesses, so she just threw the word "black men" in front of there. It's the same plan that she had presented for medical health care. She just threw "black men" in front of there. She tried to appease the black men through cryptocurrencies. The most humiliating is she tried to appease to black men through marijuana, through weed. Like every black man is walking around with a blunt in his ear. I've never smoked weed a day in my life, something I'm very proud of. I'm very proud of the fact that I've never in my life smoked weed. Now, that's not to say that I've been an angel all my life. That's not to say I've made all the best decisions all my life. Trust me, I made a lot of bad decisions in my life, but I lived up to those decisions. I lived up to the choices I made. Now, in the Fox News interview, that's where the rubber met the road. That's where the rubber met the road. She was banged. She was hit with hard hitting questions, and that's when the lies of Kamala Harris was spilling. Now, one of the first lies that was really important was about the border bill. Kamala Harris has been campaigning. She's trying to make herself look like she wasn't the border czar. She's trying to campaign like she's going to be hard on the border. But when she was asked and put pressure about the border, she tried her best to spin it. She tried her best to try to blame it on Donald Trump. She tried her best to say, oh, he didn't sign this bill 9 months ago, and she's been in the office for nearly 4 years. He didn't sign this bill 9 months ago that would have helped out the border, that would have secured the border, which the bill was weak at best. That border bill would have let in 1.8 million illegal, undocumented immigrants every year before before they actually do something to stop them. But it would have let in 1.8 million undocumented migrants every year. That border bill was very weak. So Kamala Harris, she didn't do anything no, in that bill. That nothing in that bill was impressive. 6 Democrats did not even vote for that bill. So she tried to spin it in the interview and try to make it look like that's why the border is not secure. But she was pressed and pressed and pressed. And she said our first executive order, the first thing we did when we got in office under the Joe Biden administration, our first piece of legislation was we had a border bill, and we put that as an executive order. But when it was revealed that that was nothing more than an asylum bill trying to legalize many of the undocumented. So that was not a bill to protect the border or secure the border. That was strictly an asylum bill. That's all it was. And she was put under pressure about that. And it came out while she was trying to blame Donald Trump. It came out she lied, in that the Biden administration, which includes her, second in command, they rescinded 94 of Donald Trump's border policies. 94 of his executive orders they rescinded day one, because they have so much hatred for Donald Trump that they cannot see the forest for the trees. They cannot love the American people. Their hatred for Donald Trump supersedes their love for the American people. It supersedes the Constitution of America. It supersedes doing what's right for the American people. That's how much hatred they have for Donald Trump. So that's one of the biggest lies that was unveiled, that Kamala Harris, she did nothing to secure the border. As a matter of fact, she did everything to make sure the border was unsecure by rescinding 94 of Donald Trump's policies on the border. So therefore, it shows that Kamala Harris, she's nothing but a liar when it comes to the border. Now, also, she was called out by the parent of Rachel Morton. That's the young lady, the young girl that was violated, that was murdered by a illegal immigrant, and she was called out by her mother, Patty Morton. She was called out, and she did not have the decency, she did not have the integrity to actually issue a formal apology to the mother, to that mother that's grieving, that parent that's grieving. She had too much pride to say, "Hey, listen, I was wrong." Us, when we rescinded those Donald Trump executive orders, we were wrong about that. We had that wrong. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. She should have called out Patty's name. She should have called out Rachel's name. She should have clearly say, "I'm very sorry for what happened to your daughter, Rachel Morton. Patty, I'm very sorry. Please forgive me. I was very wrong for what I did with the border. I'm going to do my best this time around. I know what I did wrong, and I want to gain your trust." Just like J.D. Vance has been saying on the campaign trail, he said, we know we don't have the American people trust when it comes to women's rights issue. We're going to have to work hard to gain their trust on that. That's what Kamala Harris should have said when it came to the border crisis issue. Now, another lie that was revealed, she lied during the debate, trying to say that she never supported the gender surgeries for undocumented migrants that were incarcerated. She supported funding surgeries for gender surgeries, gender transitioning. That's what they call it. She supported transitioning illegal migrants while they were in prison, and she pushed forward legislation for that. She was the advocate for that particular legislation. She still tried to push that on Donald Trump. Donald Trump said he said clearly he never did that in his administration. He never allowed that in his administration. Yes, it was a law in while he was the president, but he fought against that law. He never had any surgeries that was performed under his administration. So she was called out in that lie. So that was two lies that she was called out clearly, and she had to admit to those particular lies. Only thing she could say was, "Oh, I followed the law." You're the lawmaker. You're going to be you're running for the chief executive office of the United States of America. You could write executive orders. So don't tell us you followed the law. The question was, are you going to support gender transition and surgery for undocumented migrants while they're in prison or elsewise funded by U.S. taxpayers? That was the question. She ran from that question. She never answered the question. Only thing she said is she's going to follow the law, a law that she can write an executive order day one, and if she win the office. And that's what she should have said. She's like, no, day one, I'm going to issue an executive order, and it's going to clearly state that our taxpayers are not going to go to work hard every day to fund gender transition and surgeries for anyone. If someone want a different gender, they pay for it themselves. That's only fair. If I want a new car, I got to pay for it myself. If one of my, if me or a family member have to go get some type of organ transplant, we got to pay for that ourselves. Taxpayers not going to pay for that. And it's only fair that if you want a different gender, you have to pay for that surgery. The other thing that she lied about was Joe Biden's health. Joe Biden has been in poor health for years, and Vice President Harris knew it. And she danced around that question. She tried to go on to Donald Trump's health, and that was not the question. It was clearly asked, when did she first notice that Joe Biden's health was deteriorating, and she was afraid to answer that question. She lied to the American people that Joe Biden was healthy, that he was strong, he was mentally capable of running the United States. That was a lie. Now, this is the fourth lie. It was not in the Fox News interview, but I think it's worthy of a mention. The fourth lie is Vice President Harris constantly lying, saying that nowhere in America are there late-term abortions, ninth-month abortions, and clearly in the state of Minnesota. Matter of fact, was it called out? It was called out on a recent interview. There might have been that interview. No, matter of fact, it was called out in the Fox News interview. No, there was something else that was he called out about Tim Walz. But it's clearly stated that in Tim Walz's state of Minnesota, as well as 5 other states, they have extreme abortion laws. There are states where you could get abortions in the 9th month. And it does not have anything to do with the life of the mother. This is just a abortion that you just want for any reason particular or for no reason in particular. So with that being said, those are Kamala Harris's most disturbing lies that has recently been called out. And it's been verified from her mouth, from the horse's mouth. She did not deny those claims. Matter of fact, she validated those claims. Thank you all for tuning in. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to leave comments below. Let me know what you think about the lies that Kamala Harris told. If you have any other lies that she told, please expose them so we can let people know who she really is. And last but not least, please subscribe to the channel. And until next time, peace.